There is definitely a buzz about silver, and no more so over on everybody's favourite selling platform, eBay, where you can buy silver for over £2,000 a kilo. Now that might sound cheap in the long run because as we look at things right now, the price of silver for a kilo is near £1,600. We're nearing in on £50 for an ounce. So maybe somebody knows more than we do, because at some point silver's going to be even higher than this. But this still represents a bit of a premium. And there are a lot of other people putting a lot of money into silver right now. And are they overpaying, or do they know something that we don't? So let's dive in and have a good close look at what silver's going for right now on eBay. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another little eBay Precious Metal Ramble, where we are going to have a look at some recent eBay results for things like kilo silver bars, Britannias, and a few others if we have a bit of time, because silver has been going pretty parabolic as we have seen of late. And in fact, at the time of filming, £49.51 for an ounce of silver. And if we put that over onto the kilo side of things, it's nearly £1,600 a kilo, which is absolutely crazy. I remember buying kilos of silver for £400. God, I wish those days were still here, but alas, it's still a nice thing to own silver and see it go up in as much value. But there are a lot of premiums out there still, and some people even paying over £2,000 for a kilo of silver. Now, I did a video a couple of weeks ago just like this, and in fact, I just want to point this out here. It says a postcode here, and I had quite a few emails from people going, your postcode's visible. It's not my postcode. I'm using a VPN, so God knows where that is. Probably somewhere near Oxford. It's not mine. But I did a video there, and lots of people were, I think on my side, saying that there were a lot of people who were basically just overpaying for their silver. People were paying £1,600-1,700 a kilo back then. But I guess I need to eat a little bit of humble pie, because those same people could easily be flipping their silver right now for £2,000 a kilo and making a couple of £100 profit. Yeah, there's definitely that to factor in, but where will this end up? Where will this price end up? Can I see it going over £2,000 a kilo? Maybe, yeah, it's definitely going to keep going up, but at some point it's going to break, and at some point the premiums that are going to be achieved on this stuff will break as well. So what I guess is, what I'm trying to say is, if you are going to be buying silver, try and buy it a bit more responsibly than paying over £2,000 on eBay for it, because you are likely to get in a little bit of trouble if for whatever reason you needed to sell it and you had to go to a bullion dealer, because bullion dealers will pay pretty much spot price for these types of bars. But you can see there is a lot of demand for it, even at auctions, people paying well over £2,000 for these silver bars. And that's only, I think, going to keep on going up. Now, this is something you're definitely worth paying over £2,000 for, the kilo incredible shield of Henry II. But premium items aside, and you just have a look back, there are some better deals out there, people putting buy it nows at various prices. So maybe it's worth keeping an eye out on eBay. But if we go back and we keep scrolling back, you can see how many are changing hands. There's a lot of silver changing hands right now. And that silver, I think, is just so in demand. And it really, I'm seeing it all the time. I'm getting emails every single day asking if I've got silver available on our buyers club. And silver Britannias, equally so, are in demand. We're seeing people paying 60 plus for an ounce, and that's mad. We've seen a Britannia and Liberty auction. Auctions tend to be, this is what I always say about eBay, auctions tend to be one of the best metrics by which you can ascertain what value items should have. And to get nearly £80 for a Britannia and Liberty 2024, that's mad. That's a lot of profit. Even if you bought this with full VAT when it came out, you're absolutely laughing your way to the bank. But the common denominator here is around about £60 odd an ounce, £65 to £70 an ounce for silver Britannias. And another thing I would like to point out about the kilo bar market is that they are not capital gains exempt here in the UK. So if you're buying the stuff, if like me, you have a bunch of silver bars, you're looking at a pretty massive capital gains tax bill. For me, it's not really a capital gains tax bill because those bars are part of my business assets. So they'll be at some point melted down, sold as poured silver. And so then there is, of course, profit to put into my bookkeeping, and I pay income tax. So I pay even more tax than I would have to than capital gains. But people buying these bars would have to factor in that capital gains tax element. Now, yes, you have an allowance of £3,000 a year, but that could quite quickly add up if we continue to see the meteoric rise for silver. Now, I just want to jump out here on the charts for a moment, because there is, I think, something really interesting happening for silver. And if we go to silver in ounces, just look at that chart for a minute and tell me that you don't think that that's not sustainable. Now, we all know what happened in 2011. Silver shot up to about £30 an ounce. Now, what's really interesting is if we compare these charts in US dollars, they don't look too different, but the peak here in US dollars was around 46 compared to the 66 peak we're seeing here. And I can't help but feel that there's a similar peak that's up here somewhere. Where will the top of this peak be? I don't know. But I do think that right now we are seeing a big run up on silver. Where will that end up? I honestly can't tell you. I don't know. But be wary is what I'm saying. You're going to invest in silver, and you're doing it not because you want to just make a turnaround quick profit, selling a bar a couple of weeks later for a couple of £100 profit on eBay. Sure, do that if you want to. But if you're going to be in this for the long haul, where will this be in 20 years' time? And what I can see, without really being able to demonstrate, if you imagine this chart here, right, this bit over here that we're looking at is the new 2025. So if we just shift this entire chart, the dates all the way down here, if this is 2025, where will this be in 2040? I think we're going to see £100 plus, £200 plus. Dollar-wise, I mean, it could be 250 plus. These are all speculative numbers, but what I can say is that whilst we are seeing a peak, there will most likely be a drop and an evening out, a plateauing of silver. At some point, that will happen, but then at some point, it will continue to rise again. And I think that is going to be a very interesting period of history for money, for cash, and I think I would rather own silver and gold than I would have cash in the bank. So, am I going to eat humble pie because I said people buying silver at 16, 17, 1800 pounds a kilo were dumb? Well, to a certain degree, yes, they were, because at the time you could have been buying silver a lot cheaper from places like the Silver Forum or our Buyers Club Facebook Marketplace. There are plenty of different groups out there, Stack of Social, loads of them, where you can buy at a much more fair premium. But those people are still in profit, and they are probably going to be more in profit if they're going to hold for a long time. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'd love to know what you think down in the comment section below, so please feel free to comment. Have you bought a kilo of silver for over £2,000 a kilo? I'd love to know if you have and why you think that that is a good deal right now. Copper kilo at 76. I remember buying copper kilos at 25 and that being overpriced. Crikey. Anyway, maybe copper is the new silver. Who knows? Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you all for watching. For the cool kids, quote me, £2,000 per kilo of silver. Wow. That's your Cool Kid Club phrase. We'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.